Hi, welcome to another mini Common Art session, this time with the topic facing challenges. Very frequently, we are faced to these challenges in life, and they don't have to be necessarily big, huge challenges. They can be small, everyday challenges, and where we have to take decisions. Some people like to ask other people about advice on how to face these challenges, and other people, they just like to face them by themselves. So this Common Art session will help you to work on questions that you can ask yourself or that you can ask other people when they ask you for advice. Instead of just dropping out the advice, perhaps it's better to start by asking some questions so that you can understand better what they are facing, what the situation is, and know a little bit more about themselves. And well, maybe you can come with a good piece of advice, or you can help them visualize, understand their situation, and maybe they can get their own answers. So let's start with the intention of the session and the activities that we are going to do. Okay, so today the intention is to think of everyday challenges, whether big or small, and to make questions to face them. As I mentioned previously, whether to face them on ourselves, on our own, or to face them, or to help somebody else to face them. We are going to do this by reading a story written for children. On this occasion, also something very useful that you can use in order to improve your English is reading aloud. What activities are we going to do? The first activity is just to ask ourselves, what is my challenge for this session? Second activity, how am I going to approach this session in order to face the challenge about it? Then we will, I will read a story aloud. You will have it on screen also. You can practice reading aloud. And for each part of the story, there will be two questions. The first question, what's the challenge? And the second question, which questions can I ask the character according to the challenge? We will talk a little bit about the importance of questions and reflect on a final quote. Are we ready for that? Okay, so let's begin by asking ourselves, what's my challenge for this session? You can go back a little bit on this recording and look again at the activities that we're going to have. According to activities, what is your challenge? Perhaps understanding the text, perhaps participating with questions and with suggestions about the challenges of each of the characters, or perhaps reading aloud. Ask yourself, what's the challenge for the session? Okay? If you want to share, I would be very glad that you share your challenge. Now, let's go for the second activity. I'm sharing with you a grid with letters, but this is a word search. So find on the grid some things that you are planning to be, or some skills that you are planning to have during this session in order to face your challenge. For example, this session, I'm planning to be clever, or I'm planning to be creative. There are many words hidden in this grid. Find some of them and share. What are you planning to be? You're planning to be humble or maybe adaptable? What about active? Or maybe vulnerable, right? Vulnerable, to be vulnerable doesn't mean to be weak. It means to be humble and to know that sometimes it's difficult for us to face a challenge or a situation. Okay, so find as many words as you can. How many words can you find? You can share on the chat, all right? You can stop the video over here to look for more, or when you are ready, well, just continue the video, and let's move for the next activity. Okay, now let's go for a little context over here about the story that we are going to read. The moment in history when this story was written, or that this story makes reference to, is the Great Depression in the United States. This was a moment where many people, many families faced great challenges. It took place in the 1930s, and the stock market crashed. Many families were left without jobs, without an income. The economy collapsed. They had to use their savings. They ran out of savings. And even the children were harmed, let's say, in this situation, because if their parents didn't have a job, they didn't have the means to provide food or to provide education or anything that represented expenses. So there were some riots, not only from parents, but also, well, from children, or the parents took their children to these riots, asking for jobs to their dads, as you can see in the image. It was considered one of the biggest, or it is considered one of the biggest crashes or depressions in history. It lasted several years, so it was a very difficult situation. So what do you imagine? And here we have the two questions first. Which challenges did children face? What do you imagine? Okay, don't think about their parents. Think about the children. What challenges did children face? And the second one, which or questions or what would you like to ask them? If you found one of these kids, or if you had the opportunity to ask one of these kids, what questions would you like to ask them? Think about it. And remember, I would like to have these mini Common Art sessions as active as possible, considering that it is a pre-recording session and we cannot communicate orally, but we can always communicate on the chat. All right, so the story that we are going to read is called The Gardener. It was written by Sarah Stewart, and the pictures were made by her husband, David Small. The Gardener. Look at the image and look at the situation over here. We have a family. You can see mom and dad on the right side of the image next to the car. Mom and dad are over here. Okay, there's a house, but the house is it in a city or is it in the countryside? Yes, it's in the countryside. On the other side, we see a girl and another woman. We will discover little by little who the characters are. But you can see also that there are many plants over here, and the girl and the other woman have some baskets with maybe vegetables or flowers or something else. You can see some garden tools also. They are holding some garden tools. So the name of the story is The Gardener. Let's start reading and seeing where it takes us to. This book is written with letters that the girl is writing to her parents or to somebody else. I am not sharing with you the whole story because it would take us a lot of time. I'm just sharing some important parts of the story, and you will have on the link access to the whole story, also a video on YouTube where you can read the whole story. Okay, so take a look at the image. What is happening? That is your first task. Before even reading the text, look at the image. We have a girl, well, the girl that was shown previously, and an older woman. What are they doing? What furniture can you see? Or what other elements can you see that are important? It looks like they are folding clothes. There's a suitcase over here. There's a table with a pencil and a piece of paper, the letter that Lydia Grace Finch is writing. So look at the date, August 27, 1935. Dear Uncle Jim, Grandma told us that you want me to come to the city and live with you until things get better. Did she tell you that Papa has been out of work for a long time and no one asks Mama to make dresses anymore? I'm small, but strong, and I'll help you all I can. Your niece, Lydia Grace Finch. So what does this story or this first letter tell us? Lydia Grace, the little girl, is going to move away from her parents' house to go with Uncle Jim because the family is struggling very much. Papa doesn't have a job. Mama doesn't have a job either. So she has to move away with Uncle Jim. And she says, I'm small, but strong, and I'll help you all I can. So which challenge will Lydia Grace face? She's moving away from her parents. She will have to live out away from her parents. She will have to live in a city and not in the countryside anymore. What would you like to ask her? In the letter, she's showing that she's brave, that she is ready to do this for her parents, for her family. But what challenges will she face, and what would you like to ask her? Write on the chat. I'll give you some examples over here. Are you ready to move with Uncle Jim? Do you know Uncle Jim? Will you miss your parents? Will you miss your grandma? Are you ready to work with Uncle Jim? Ask questions. Because when we don't have all the information, it's better to ask some questions first before giving any advice. Let's move to the next one. September 3rd, 1935. Dear Uncle Jim, I forgot to tell you in the last letter 3 important things that I'm too shy to say to your face. 1, I know a lot about gardening, but nothing about baking. 2, I'm anxious to learn to bake. But is there any place to plant seeds? 3, I like to be called Lydia Grace, just like Grandma. Your niece, Lydia Grace. Look at the image. Now Mama, Papa, and Grandma are at the train station and they are saying farewell to Lydia Grace. Well, even the dog is there to say farewell to Lydia Grace. And she has 3 questions for Uncle Jim. Which challenge will Uncle Jim face? Yes, Lydia Grace knows about gardening, but she doesn't know anything about baking. I suppose that Uncle Jim has a bakery, so if Lydia Grace wants to help, she will have to learn to bake. So which challenge will Uncle Jim face? And Lydia Grace is asking for a place to plant seeds. They live in the city. Uncle Jim lives in the city. So situations in the city, the situation in the city is different from the situation in the countryside. Maybe Uncle Jim lives in an apartment and doesn't have a place to grow plants. So what would you like to ask Uncle Jim? Are you ready to be with your niece? Do you know anything about how to raise children? Do you have children? Do you have a place for Lydia Grace to grow seeds? Will you be patient with her? What kind of questions can we ask Uncle Jim to help him face his challenge? Let's move to the next one. September 5th, 1935. All right, now Lydia Grace is in a city. She has arrived with Uncle Jim, and you can see over here a big building with a bakery in the bottom on the ground floor. Yes. All right. Here's Uncle Jim. Look at his face, his posture. What kind of person do you think he is? Lydia Grace is with him, with his luggage, ready to start her new life in the city. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I'm so excited. There are window boxes here. They look as if they've been waiting for me. So now we'll both wait for spring. And Grandma, the sun shines down on the corner where I will live and work. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. Uncle Jim doesn't smile. All right. So apparently Lydia Grace looks excited about her new life. And immediately she has seen the window boxes. These things or small terrace places are called window boxes. Okay? So immediately she has discovered a place where she can grow plants. But in her postscript, she says, Uncle Jim doesn't smile. So which challenges are Mama, Papa, and Grandma facing? Right now, I would like you to think about Mama, Papa, and Grandma when they receive this letter, knowing that Lydia Grace is away from them. Which challenges are they facing? I'm sure that they miss her. I'm sure that it's not something that they wanted to do. They had to do it because of the economic situation. So perhaps they feel sad. And how is Lydia Grace helping them to feel a little bit better? In her letter, she's trying to show that she's positive about this thing. She's trying to show that she's brave, that she's courageous, and that Mama, Papa, and Grandma don't have to worry about anything. If you were in front of Mama, Papa, and Grandma, what would you like to ask them? Imagine you're having a conversation with them and they are expressing that they feel sad, that they miss their daughter. What would you like to ask them? Do you miss them? Do you miss her? Or do you trust Uncle Jim? How do you feel about this? You know that Lydia Grace is a brave little girl. So are you positive about what she's going to do and how she's going to feel? How can you support her to face this challenge? And how can you support each other to face this challenge of having Lydia Grace away from home? I'm giving you alternatives. Please think of other questions you may ask. Asking questions, sorry to be repetitive, asking questions is the best way to give advice or to provide a person with courage to face the challenges and not just to give a piece of advice right away. Ask questions to have more information and to help the other person find the answers themselves. Next one, February 12th, 1936. Okay, last letter was dated September, so October, November, December, January, February, 5 months have passed. The winter has passed. Well, we're still in winter, but spring is about to come. And you see that Lydia Grace is working in the bakery. She's working with a doll, all right? And behind her, there's a woman. She's Emma, okay? This young lady over here is Emma. And this other fellow over here is Ed. They help Uncle Jim in the bakery. You can see that Uncle Jim makes bread, cupcakes, or they look like baguettes or something like that. And he also makes cakes. Okay, so now let's read the letter. February 12, 1936. Dearest Grandma, I really like Ed and Emma, Uncle Jim's friends who work here. When I first arrived, Emma told me she would show me to knead bread if I taught her the names of all the flours I know. Now, just half a year later, I'm kneading bread and she knows the names. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. Uncle Jim isn't smiling yet, but I'm hoping for a smile soon. All right, so Lydia Grace is learning a new skill. She knew about gardening, she didn't know about bread, but now 5 months later or 6 months later, she knows how to knead bread. Emma has taught her well. But also Emma is learning about gardening, flowers, names of flowers, and all of that. Emma looks happy. Lydia Grace looks concentrated on her task. Ed is happy too. But we can see that Uncle Jim is concentrated in whatever he's doing, but he isn't smiling yet. Which challenge is Emma facing? She's the one teaching Lydia Grace to knead the bread. And she's the one learning the names of the flowers. So she has 2 challenges over there, to learn about gardening and to show this little girl how to work in the bakery. What would you like to ask her? Some ideas. Is Lydia Grace a good student? Is she learning fast? Is she a good teacher about the plants and the flowers and all things? Is it difficult to learn the names of the flowers? What kind of bread can Lydia Grace make now? Can you help Lydia? Can you help Uncle Jim to smile, or can you give her a tip, give Lydia Grace a tip on how to make Uncle Jim smile? Or has he always been like that? These are some examples of questions, and if you would like to share other questions, I would very gladly hear from you. Next one, March 5, about a month later, 1936. Can you see Lydia Grace over there? Many stairs. Where do these stairs lead to? Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I've discovered a secret place. You can't imagine how wonderful it is. No one knows about it, and I have great plans for it. Thank you for the letters. I'll try to write more, but I'm really busy planting all your seeds in cracked teacups and bent cake pans. And Grandma, you should smell the good dirt I'm bringing home from the vacant lot down the street. Love to all, Lydia Grace. Wow. Spring is coming. Time to plant seeds for the flowers or the vegetables to grow during springtime. So Lydia Grace is very excited about this secret place. Where do you imagine this secret place is? She says that she's collecting and she's planting the seeds in cracked teacups. Okay, cracked. They are not completely broken, all right? Maybe just a little crack on them. And she's using them to plant her seeds. And also she's using the bent cake pans. A cake pan is the container where you put the dough that that will become a cake. But if it is bent, like not with a good shape, if it is bent, it cannot be used anymore. So she's collecting everything she can to plant her seeds. And she's also bringing dirt, okay, the soil that you use to plant the seeds in. There is a vacant lot, a vacant piece of land where she's taking this dirt, maybe in bags or in another way. She's collecting all this dirt to plant her seeds. So which challenge is Lydia Grace facing? She's very excited. Okay. She has found this secret place. She has started to plant seeds. What is her next challenge? Perhaps to move all the containers, all the pots and the teacups and everything that she's using to her secret place. To take care of the plants so that they really grow. To collect earth or this dirt from the vacant lot and bring it home. And if it's a secret place, perhaps she doesn't want Uncle Jim to know about it yet. What would you like to ask her? Couple of questions. Is anyone helping you? Have you told Emma and Ed? Are you sure you can use this place? How many plants are you planning to grow? What kind of plants are you planning to grow? Yeah, this is the secret place. The top roof of the building. Take a close look at it. We can see Emma over here on top of the stairs looking at the secret place. Well, there are some boxes and cans and buckets, some old stuff. Of course, there are many birds in there, doves perhaps, pigeons, and they like to eat seeds. So that would be perhaps another challenge. So which challenge will Lydia Grace face? Generally speaking, to clean the roof, to organize it, to get rid of the stuff that she doesn't need and to use the stuff that she needs and find a way to protect her baby plants from birds. What would you like to ask her? Are you planning to do it alone? Do you think that Uncle Jim will discover your secret place and maybe get angry? Because in order to work on her secret garden, she will have to use some time that she's using now at the bakery helping Uncle Jim. How are you planning to organize your time to be able to work in the bakery and also to work in your garden? Next one. June 27. Okay, summer is here. Dear Grandma, flowers are blooming everywhere. You see the window boxes over here, how they are all filled with flowers and flowers everywhere. Flowers are blooming everywhere. I'm also growing radishes, onions, and lettuce in the window boxes. Some neighbors have brought containers for me to fill with flowers, and a few customers even gave me plants from their gardens. They don't call me Lydia Grace anymore. They call me the gardener. I'm almost ready to show Uncle Jim the secret place. Love to all, Lydia Grace. So this fantastic little girl has made use of her skills and her knowledge in another place. And she's also somehow helping the community to make it look more beautiful. And she's not only planting flowers, she's also planting some vegetables like radishes, onions, and lettuce. Radishes are these little red things that, well, here in Mexico, we use in pozole. They are a bit spicy. Now the neighbors are helping because they see that this building looks beautiful with flowers. They are helping Lydia Grace with containers. They are giving her plants. And now she has got the nickname of the gardener, right? Lydia Grace is her name, her nickname, the gardener. Yes, Emma is helping her. She's finding ways to water the plants. Look how smart she looks, all right? She's with some ropes. She ties up the sprinkle to water the flowers. And now they're also selling some vegetables and they're selling some flower plants. So she's helping Uncle Jim in different ways, and Emma is helping too. So which challenges are the neighbors facing? Yeah, helping Lydia Grace, adapting to this new way of living, trying to make a happy face, even though that the circumstances, the economic circumstances are not very good because still the United States is is in an economic crisis. So trying to collect these pots and pans and casseroles or whatever recipients or containers they can give Lydia Grace. What questions would you like to ask them? Yeah, the first question may be, how do you feel? How do you feel about all this? Do you feel happy with having a neighborhood with more colors, more vivid, with flowers, with plants, and not so depressing with only buildings? How do you feel about Lydia Grace? Do you like this little girl? Are you learning something from her? Would you like to have some flowers and some plants in your house? Perhaps you can ask Lydia Grace to teach you how to grow plants and how to grow vegetables. The neighborhood is changing. Let's go for next one. Jesus Christ. Do you remember how the roof was? Look at this and look at how Lydia Grace has transformed the roof. Now it looks like a real garden. And you can see Lydia Grace, Emma, and Ed very happy, celebrating something. They invited Uncle Jim to the secret garden. They have even prepared a meal for him using old wooden boxes they have prepared something to celebrate Lydia Grace's garden. Now it's full with flowers, vegetables, different plants. And they have all done it without Uncle Jim knowing about it. Until now, it was a secret place. Lydia Grace's secret garden. Now look at Uncle Jim's face. Is he smiling? Which challenge will Uncle Jim face? How do you think he will react when he sees this? Do you think he will be happy? Or he will tell off Lydia Grace, punish her or something? What would you like to ask him? Are you happy with this? Are you proud of your niece? Will you let her continue with her project? Will you celebrate with her and help her with whatever else she needs? How do you feel about your employees also helping her? Because you see, Emma and Ed are also involved on the project. So maybe they have taken some time off the bakery to help Lydia Grace. How would you feel if you were Uncle Jim? What do you think would be the challenge over here? Let's continue. July 11, 1936. Okay. Almost a year has passed. Lydia Grace has her garden. And now she received a letter from her parents, from her grandma. And you can see Emma and Ed very happy. Lydia looks surprised, happily surprised. What does Uncle Jim have? What is he holding? Is he smiling? Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, my heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure the customers can hear it. At lunch today, Uncle Jim appeared in the secret place with the most amazing cake I've ever seen, covered in flowers. The cake equals 1,000 smiles. And then he took your letter out of his pocket with the news of Papa's job. I'm coming home. Love you all and see you soon, Lydia Grace. Wow, Uncle Jim doesn't smile with his lips, but he smiled with the cake. Some people have big smiles, grins from ear to ear. Some people have little smiles and some people don't smile at all, but it doesn't mean that they're not happy. They are content. They are happy inside. Okay, even though they don't show it. So this is the situation with Uncle Jim. He's so proud of Lydia Grace. He's so happy about her. And he's so thankful for her company that she is expressing his happiness, his contentment, and his gratitude to Lydia Grace with the most amazing cake covered in flowers. That's why Lydia Gray says the cake equals 1,000 smiles. So Lydia Grace is now going back home. Papa has a job. Which challenge will Lydia Grace face now? She's coming home. She's so happy. But there will be a challenge as well. She has been with Emma and Ed and Uncle Jim for almost a year, about 10 months. She has built this garden. She has learned a new skill, baking. So what would you like to ask her? Yes, are you happy to come home? Are you sad that you're leaving Uncle Jim? Will you miss Uncle Jim, Emma, and Ed? What will happen with your garden? Who will take care of it? Do you love Uncle Jim? Many questions I would like to ask Lydia Grace. How will you feel when you get home? Will you use your new skills about baking when you go back home? Or will you just go back into gardening with Grandma? Do you think that baking can help the family, your family, now? So this is the end of the story. You see now that Lydia Grace and Uncle Jim are hugging each other. Emma is sad, she's crying. Ed is next to her. And Lydia Grace is even taking the cat with her. Uncle Jim is sad. You can see the sadness on his face. They're on the train station and Lydia is ready to go back home. Which challenge will Uncle Jim face now? Yeah, of course, missing Lydia Grace. Any other challenge that you can think of? Dealing with a garden. Or maybe that will be something that only Emma and Ed will take care of. He will no longer have a helping hand at the bakery. But I think that his biggest challenge will be missing Lydia Grace because she demonstrated to be a very nice girl. What would you like to ask him? Yes, of course. Will you miss her? Any other question? Will you go and visit her? Will you invite Lydia Grace every now and then to come and visit you? Who will take care of the garden? All right. So this is the story I wanted to share with you, and I hope that you have enjoyed it. So in this session, we have practiced reading aloud, and we have practiced more than anything, reflecting on the challenges of life, and we have practiced asking questions. Asking questions is one of the most important tools that you may have. Oftentimes, children are taught not to ask questions. They are taught just to listen and obey. Maybe that is the situation with you because of your family or because of your schooling. that you were told to be quiet, to just listen to the teacher and follow their instructions and not to ask questions. Maybe you were told that asking questions would make you feel stupid. If you ask a question is because you didn't understand, or because you don't know anything, or because you haven't studied and stuff like that. Now, let me tell you, there's nothing farther from the truth. Asking questions is one of the most helpful tools that you can have. And of course, after asking a question, listening to the answer. The answer will provide you with lots of information that you will need to continue with your learning process. So never be afraid of asking. Never be afraid of, even if the explanation was given, but you didn't understand it, please ask questions. If you are learning English or learning anything else, or you are working, if there is the minimum doubt of anything that you should do, ask a question. Believe me, you will not only be doing the bravest thing, but also the smartest thing. And I want to share a quote with you over here to support my viewpoint. Eileen Fisher. And she says, be a don't knower. Be a person who doesn't know. Be a don't knower and dare to ask questions. When you don't know and you're really listening intently, with intention, yes, intently, people want to help you. They want to share. You get the right people in the conversation and let everyone have a voice. So being a don't knower and being brave enough to ask questions, to get an answer that you will listen with attention, yes, then the people will want to help you. The people will want to give you their advice or their reply, or to solve the doubt that you have. They will want to share with you. Asking the right people the right question in the right moment is one of the most fantastic tools that you can have everywhere. I hope you have enjoyed this session, and well, practice reading aloud, practice asking questions. If you have any questions about the text or about anything, please feel free to ask them over here in the chat. And remember, these are just mini Common Art sessions, meaning that they are short, they are not the real thing. If you would like to join the real Common Art sessions that they last 2 hours and they are live by Zoom, please, you can leave me a comment over here, or you can contact me on my social media, Facebook and Instagram. Ask for information and I will gladly tell you about them. They are live, 2 hours to practice your English, 2 hours to ask questions, to give comments, to engage in wonderful conversations with expressions of art. Thank you very much again, and see you very soon. Have a happy day. Bye.